The Porto Synagogue is a place of worship and celebration for the Portuguese Jewish community. It is the largest synagogue on the Iberian Peninsula. Located in the historic center of Porto, this picturesque synagogue is a true architectural jewel, with its stone walls, wooden ceiling, beautiful stained glass windows, and 20,000 azulejos tiles. The synagogue is the work of a lifetime, that of Captain Barros Basto.
Captain Arthur Barros Basto was a Portuguese army officer, was a hero of the First World War, and a descendant of crypto Jews who converted to Judaism in Tangiers in 1920 and joined the Jewish community in Porto in 1921.
It is told that Arthur Carlos Barros Basto's grandfather, while he was on his deathbed, told him that he had Jewish ancestors. His family had been forced to convert to Catholicism, but they had kept Jewish practices in secret. This revelation came as a shock to Barros Basto. So his ancestors were among those Jews who had to live in hiding for centuries after the expulsion order from Portugal in 1496. It was King Manuel I, driven by religious fundamentalism from Spain, who forced the Jews in turn to convert. Everything came to a head with the Lisbon Inquisition in 1506. The Jews were accused of being the cause of the plague that was raging at the time, and the Christians engaged in 3 days of dreadful massacres. A century later, there were no more Jews in Portugal. Those who still remained would hide until the 19th century, when they could finally live their faith without fear of persecution. Barros Basto, deeply moved by the history of the Portuguese Jews, dedicated his life to rehabilitating the Portuguese Jewish community and reviving it.
He found about 20 Ashkenazi families here, and together with them, he officially registered the Jewish community of Oporto. Very soon, he was approached by a number of Maranos, descendants of crypto Jews, and decided it would be his life's work to bring these descendants back to Judaism.
Unfortunately, Barros Basto's life took a dramatic turn when he was accused of Judaism by his military colleagues and was dismissed from the army.
The army decided that because he'd been taking part in circumcisions, that he was no longer fit to be part of the army, and he was removed from the army in what is clearly an anti-Semitic case, which is why he became known as the Portuguese Dreyfus.
The first synagogue was located in a small apartment, but he decided, despite the small number of Jews in the area, to build a building with the help of 19 Ashkenazi families and his Sephardic family. The foundation stone of the synagogue was laid in 1929, but due to the lack of funds, its construction was delayed. In 1937, the synagogue of Porto was sealed off, putting an end to Basto's efforts to rehabilitate the Portuguese Jewish community. Barros Basto died in 1961, poor and forgotten. But his legacy lives on. Today, his granddaughter Isabel is fighting for his name's rehabilitation.
Regarding my grandfather, to be alive at the age of 136, to apply for posthumous reinstatement, it's an insult. There's ill will on the part of the state against the Portuguese Jewish community that he founded.
In 2012, the Portuguese Parliament recognized that Captain Basto was a victim of persecution and recommended that the government posthumously reinstate his honors. But to date, the family has no official document from the government attesting to this rehabilitation. This is an outrage for the Barros Basto family, who wants to put an end to this painful chapter.
We will take the case to the court in Portugal and to the European Court of Human Rights. If I'm not successful, my daughters will continue with the fight.
This is a relentless work for the descendants of Captain Barros Basto, a struggle of decades to restore the good name of their ancestor.